On this particular trip, I had the unique opportunity to bring my two sons, Tyler and Clark, with me to fish Lake Amistad in Del Rio, Texas, with good friend and pro Ray Hanselman.
Deep within the core of every heart, nature's rhythm resounds like an ancient drum, pulsing in rushes of adrenaline that carry us away. In wild and distant places, our time becomes the canvas on which nature forever will paint the images of its indelible beauty. We thrive in the challenges of a wilderness that is so majestic, rugged, and unforgiving that only by our keenest imagination can we survive. Welcome to the Chronicles, presented by Cabela's.
You know, it was a pleasure partnering with Cabela's to get ready for this trip, and the boys had the opportunity to wear some of the Cabela's guide gear clothing and also to use some of the Cabela's spinning and bait casting rods and reels. Leading up to the trip, we stopped at a local Cabela's to get geared up, and that's an adventure all on its own with these two boys. You know, Tyler and Clark might be young, but these guys are accomplished fishermen. You know, it doesn't matter if it's in the ocean, on a lake, or even fishing in the creek. They absolutely eat it up.
After we get our poles and gear, we head from San Antonio to Del Rio, Texas.
Lake Amistad, or also known as the Amistad Reservoir, is bounded by the United States and Mexico. The American shoreline forms the Amistad National Recreation Area. The reservoir was formed in 1969 through a treaty between the United States and Mexico. The name Amistad is Spanish for friendship. Once we get to Del Rio, we stop to get our fishing licenses for Lake Amistad. One of the really unique things about this lake is you can fish on both the Texas and Mexico side of the lake. Leading up to the trip, I had been tracking the weather on Scout Look, and unfortunately the weather looks like it's going to take a turn for the worse and get bad as soon as we get there on the first day. You know, a few of the reasons why I really like to fish with Ray is that, number one, he's an accomplished fisherman and guide. Not only that, but Ray has had a very successful career in the FLW Bass and Bass Champ circuits. But what I personally truly appreciated with Ray is that he was not only knowledgeable, but he was very patient, and he taught the boys a ton while he was with them and ultimately helping them be better fishermen over the 2 days.
On the first day, we fished the Mexico side of the lake, and Mr. Ray has us using a Texas-style worm, and we work the bottom of the lake through the duckweed.
And we're fishing with light Texas rig plastics, just kind of hopping and ripping them up and out of that grass down there, hydrilla and some duckweed. But you know, with these conditions, this kind of wind, drift fishing is probably your best technique. You stay in contact with the bottom, you know.
In spite of the strong wind, it's not long that I reel in the first fish. As soon as we go to the new spot, soon enough I hook a nice smallmouth bass. It fought hard, but even though it was raining, we were catching a lot of fish and having a lot of fun.
Finally, we get a break in the rain, the weather starts to improve, and Clark is now on a roll. He's got back-to-back fish in the boat. You know, I was proud of the boys for their hard work and patience in spite of really tough weather conditions, and it wasn't long before Clark finally hooked a big Lake Amistad bass, the kind of fish we came here for.
When I hooked my monster bass, it pulled so hard it felt like I was going to pull me in. Mr. Ray said my bass was over 8 pounds. That was the biggest bass I ever caught. About 5 minutes after Clark caught his big bass, I caught a much bigger bass using a Lake Amistad, Texas lure going through the duckweed. Hey Ty, my fish was still bigger.
Nice job, buddy.
All right, guys, looking at today's forecast, you know, we're not gonna have the rain to worry about. The wind's gonna be pretty strong, you know, 15, 20 mile an hour. And you know, most fish we're catching the last couple of days have been out on this open water. You know, 15 to 25 feet of water over some hydrillas. Let's get after it.
Fishing on the second day was even tougher because of the strong winds, but me and Clark managed to make it count.
We're getting down to the wire with only one more hour to fish, so Ty puts on a brand new worm to see if he can't put one more fish in the boat. Overall, it was a great fishing trip on Lake Amistad, and I can't thank Ray enough for his patience to spend enough time on the water to ensure we got enough fish in the boat. And his knowledge and expertise made it possible in spite of really tough weather conditions.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. What was your best part of the trip? What was
Catching
fun?
our big one. My big one too.
That was good. Back to back at that. That was great. Well, I enjoyed fishing with you. Both really good fishermen, and hope to see you again next year, man. All right, let's go.
These are the kind of trips that I hope the boys will remember for a long time to come, because I know I will.
Me and Clark, we found on the second day it's pretty hard fishing because of the strong winds and the tough weather. But we still made it count.
Yours. We still got the first fish in the boat.
Wild dingoes. About 5 minutes after Clark got his big bass, I caught another nice Lake Amistad bass off a Texas worm. About 5 minutes after Clark caught his big bass, I caught a nice bass. About 5 minutes after Clark caught his big bass, I caught a nice Lake Amistad bass using a Texas style worm.
Okay. Mine weighed about 7.5 pounds.
And his weighed about 7.5. Okay.
Mine was an 8.
Go ahead. You can say anything. Mine was.
I don't care.
Say mine.
I'm not.
Stop.
I'm not. Stop. About 5 minutes after Clark got his big bass. That's not why I'm laughing. About 5 minutes after Clark got his big bass, I caught a nice. Shut up. About 5 minutes after Clark got his big bass, I caught a bigger Lake Amistad bass. I'm saying that. I'm gonna say it.
Ready, go.
This way.
My feet smell bad.
Clark, shut up.
Perfect.
After we get our poles and gear, we head from San Antonio to Del Rio, Texas.
Okay, perfect. Clark, just look. You're gonna ruin this.
You don't look.
Get it perfect.
You don't look like
I
this.
was looking at
You don't do this though.
Okay, you're gonna have to get out if you
Just look regular.
can. Ready? Do it again.
After we get our poles and gear, we head from San Antonio to Del Rio. On the first day, we fished the Mexico side of the lake, and Mr. Ray has us using a Texas-style worm, working on.
The Chronicles, tools for the hunt, are provided by these fine brands: Cabela's, Elite Archery, Lakewood Products, Redneck Outdoors, New Fletch Archery, Lacrosse Boots, Scott Archery, Copper John Sights, Hunter Safety System, Carbon Express, Thermacell Heated Insoles,